Today we're going to be adding and subtracting decimals. Please pay close attention and take notes in your academic journal. It is really important that you write down the rules and some example problems so it can help you with your practice. The rules for adding and subtracting decimals are pretty simple. We've been adding and subtracting for a while, so adding and subtracting decimals is very much the same. The first rule is the most important. Line up the decimals by their place value. This is extremely important when you're adding and subtracting. The whole answer can be wrong if you do not line them up by their place value. The easiest way to remember if you're lining them up by their place value is making sure the decimal point is lined up. If the decimal point is in the exact same spot, then you're fine. The next one is to add and subtract as usual. This should be the easiest step. Once you've lined up your decimals, just go ahead and add and subtract it just like you would whole numbers. And finally, don't forget to bring down your decimal point in the same location. Let's go ahead and take some practice problems. We're going to start with adding decimals. Our problem for today is 1.32 plus 1.4. As you notice, I lined up the decimals by their place value. The next step that I did was I inserted a 0 as a placeholder just to make the decimals even. So in this problem, I added a 0 here behind the 4 just to make sure that both numbers have hundreds place. Now I go ahead and I'm going to add as usual. Once I finish adding, I get 2.72. And don't forget to bring that decimal point in the exact same spot. I always like to write my answer on the side so I can verify that that is my final answer. The next step is subtracting decimals. And just like adding decimals, we're going to follow the same rules. So the first step is to line up your decimals by place value. So I've lined up my decimals, making sure that the decimals are in exactly the same spot. I'm going to insert a 0 just to make sure the decimals are even. So in this problem, I inserted a 0 behind the 2 just to make sure that both numbers have hundreds place. Now I'm going to go ahead and subtract as usual. Don't forget to regroup. Subtracting is very tricky if we do not remember our regrouping skills. So as I'm regrouping, I'm going to answer and now I've finished my subtraction problem. Don't forget to bring that decimal point in the exact same spot. Now I'm going to write my answer to verify that that is my final answer. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you really understand how to add and subtract. If you have any questions, make sure that you contact me. Please visit the Edpuzzle and go ahead and take one more practice. You can also visit the videos in our YouTube and get some songs to help you remember the steps.